I've seen weird things, but this Russian millionaire's tea secret haunts me forever. It was a night thick with intrigue, the air buzzing with the kind of electric tension that tells you something's about to break wide open. The clock struck 10, but shadows whispered secrets at every corner, mingling with the strong herbal scent of the tea wafting through the opulent mansion of Igor Petrov, the elusive Russian millionaire. His opulent estate was straight out of a movie, with gold-plated fixtures and walls adorned with priceless art. I mean, who wouldn't he be on edge in a place where genuine Faberge eggs gleamed like beacons of excess? But the real mystery was what lay stewing in the ornate gilded teapots. The guests giggled, sipping their cups, unaware of the profound, chilling tale waiting to unravel. Oh, there was something in those leaves, something dark. Rumors flew like confetti. Secret ingredients whispered to grant unimaginable power, or even, dare I say, immortality. A shiver ran down my spine. I couldn't shake the sensation of being watched, as if the walls themselves had ears eager for my every reaction. Just then, a piercing scream fractured the laughter. Eyes widened. People froze, then erupted into chaos. A woman in a dazzling red gown collapsed, her cup slipping from her trembling fingers, the liquid staining the floor like spilled blood. I pushed through the throng, desperate to find out what had happened. I've seen it all, but this? I couldn't move. Was that a shadow flickering behind her? Was someone or something hiding just out of sight among the manicured hedges? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The crowd buzzed with questions, panic tangible in the room. Did you see that? A gray-haired man muttered, horror etched in his face. That's just the beginning. Another guest hissed, fear spilling into her voice. I caught the gaze of Igor, his expression unreadable, eyes flickering like candle flames that could spark a wildfire of calamity. What kind of twisted game was he playing? Those tea leaves held more than just flavor. They whispered of ancient marvels and nightmares yet to unfold. As I turned to gauge the crowd, something caught my eye, a mirror reflecting not only the chaos, but a figure cloaked in shadows retreating to the darkness at the edge of the garden. My heart raced. Who was it? What were they hiding? The night was just beginning, and with it, a cascade of secrets that could drown us all. The air throbbed with disbelief and fear. People gasped, their fingers trembling around china cups as they peered toward the scene unfolding on the marble floor. I pushed my way through the crowd, my heart pounding so loud I thought it might drown out the shrieks echoing in the hall. Then I saw her, the woman in red, now lifeless at my feet. Her raven hair splayed like ink across the gleaming floor, pooling around the shattered teacup. The dark liquid spread wider, a treacherous mark of the secrets unleashed. Guests rushed in, some reaching for their phones, others clutching one another, frozen in shock. I shoved my way closer, desperate to understand. Someone call for help, I yelled, though I knew the event was spiraling into chaos. What happened? A man in a tuxedo, his eyes wide and frantic, looked around as if he expected the answer to materialize out of thin air. Before I could respond, a soft, melodic voice sliced through the murmurs, laced with an unsettling calm. It's too late for her. The crowd parted like water as a tall woman glided forward, her long black dress swirling around her like a dark cloud. She had a presence, radiating an eerie confidence that sent shivers up my spine. Her eyes met mine with an intensity that felt uncomfortably intimate, as if she were reading my thoughts. Igor stood frozen on the periphery, his cool facade cracking ever so slightly. "Celine, enough?" he ordered, but the woman Celine simply smiled, the corners of her mouth lifting in a way that suggested she held the keys to secrets far more dangerous than we'd ever imagined. "What do you know about the tea?" I asked, my voice strained. The guests were drawn into an unspeakable tension, like a quivering bowstring, waiting to snap. Celine stepped closer to the body, her gaze unwavering. "The tea carries the weight of choices and consequences. Those who brew it must be willing to pay the price." A chill ran down my back, dread pooled in my stomach. The whispers spread like wildfire through the crowd, igniting fear and intrigue. What price? I pressed, my throat dry, tasting the tang of panic. Those who drink it may find themselves receiving more than they bargained for, she replied cryptically. This is but the beginning. The tea has chosen its next villager, and the losing game has only just begun. Suddenly, she spun on her heel, glancing back at Igor. He shot her a look of warning, but it was too late. I had caught something in her eyes: knowledge, fear, and a daring edge that hinted at a darker truth. Someone screamed again, drawing my attention. Another guest crumpled nearby, clutching their stomach, their face contorted in agony. Murmurs rose like a wave, washing over the stunned crowd. Panic surged, echoing through the air like a dark symphony. Then, just beyond Celine, my gaze locked onto that shadow again, the fleeting figure slipping back into the garden. I couldn't back down now. I had to know more. As I took a step toward the exit, the atmosphere shifted. It felt electric, charged with an unspeakable energy. This wasn't tea, just a party. It was a deadly game, and it appeared I was already part of it. What would I risk to uncover the truth? I pushed through the door, deciding that shadows couldn't keep me from the answers. But as I stepped into the night, a hand seized my wrist from behind, pulling me back into the darkness. Don't go out there alone, a hushed voice warned, sending my heart racing anew. You don't know what's waiting outside. What did they know that I didn't? The chilling uncertainty buzzed in the air, and I had to decide: quickly face the unknown or turn back before it was too late. The grip tightened around my wrist. I spun to face my captor. It was a woman, her face pale, eyes wide with sheer terror. You can't go out there, she whispered, glancing back toward the open door like it was a portal to hell. Celine isn't just some witch. She brings curses. What are you talking about? My heart raced, confusion swirling in my mind like the chaos inside. Celine? The woman in red? What is really going on here? I'm Amelia, she said hurriedly, her voice low, almost trembling. Look, I've seen things. She paused, catching her breath. I thought I could ignore it, but after tonight? No, I can't. I have to warn you. The air felt thick, stifling. I pulled my wrist free, feeling both the pull of fear and the weight of my curiosity. I came out here to find answers. If you know something, spill it. Now. Amelia glanced back, fearing we might be overheard. You don't understand the kind of power this tea holds. Igor, he is not just a host. He is involved, like a puppet master. And Celine, she shivered, shaking her head. She thrives on chaos. Don't let her charm fool you. The shadow flickered again in the garden, pulling my attention. I felt the cold edge of fear slice through me. If what she said is true, who is next? How does this all connect to the tea? The tea, Amelia whispered, is a conduit for souls. It draws from us, feeds on our darkest fears and desires. Once you taste it, you're marked. And if you don't act fast, another scream erupted from inside, piercing the night air. It sliced through my mind, urging me to make a decision. I have to go back, I declared, the adrenaline coursing through me. I can't just stand here. I need to know who is behind this nightmare. No. Amelia's eyes widened in fear. You're leaving yourself vulnerable. You can't trust anyone inside. There are whispers of betrayal, layers of deception. You might end up like her. She pointed back toward the party, the body still sprawled on the floor. Fear clawed at my throat. Every instinct told me to retreat, to flee to safety. But something more powerful than my dread pushed me forward. I had to know the truth, even if it meant risking everything. If you want to find out, come with me, I urged, desperation creeping into my voice. Together, we might have a chance to uncover whatever is hidden in the shadows. Amelia hesitated, her face struggling between panic and resolve. All right, but if anything feels off, I can't promise I won't run. She breathed. We stepped back toward the hall, the haunting whispers echoing in our ears. I took a deep breath, the sweet and bitter scent of spilled tea filling my lungs. Every fiber in my being screamed that danger lurked beyond the threshold. Letting my feet carry me forward, I led the way, back into the storm of swirling emotions and unsettled souls. As we crossed back through the doorway, the room felt heavier, laden with secrets barely contained. Celine stood in the center, her raven hair cascading like a dark veil over her shoulders. She turned and locked her gaze on me, a smirk creeping across her face. The glint in her eye told me she had anticipated my return. "Ah, I see the curious little sparrow has come back to the nest," she cooed, her voice dripping with honeyed malice. "But the nest is about to be torn apart by the crows." I swallowed hard, the weight of her words sinking deep. I had stepped right into the lioness' den, and the beast was hungry. What would happen when her secrets poured forth? I could feel the looming presence of danger closing in from every angle, and a question hung thick in the air. How far down this rabbit hole would I dare to dive? The tension in the room thickened, a palpable mass that wrapped around us. Celine's eyes sparkled with malevolence like stars above a darkened void. I could sense the crowd's eyes shifting toward us, their curiosity piqued by my presence. Murmurs rippled through their ranks, a sea of whispers that only heightened my unease. "What do you want, Celine?" I managed to ask, my voice steadier than I felt. Anxiety burned against my chest, constricting my breathing. "Oh, sweet little sparrow," she purred, gliding closer, her silhouette fluid in the ambient light. "You came searching for answers, yet you have entered a game you cannot hope to win. Are you sure you want to know? Knowledge is a powerful thing. It can burn," she whispered, her breath ghosting against my skin. Amelia edged beside me, her uncertainty spilling into the space between us. "This isn't just a party. It's a trap, and you're the prey," she pressed, her voice barely a whisper. "I won't let fear dictate my choices," I shot back, feeling the strength of my resolve. "There has to be a way to expose whatever she is hiding. We can't go on living under this curse." Celine's laughter danced mockingly through the air. "Expose? Oh, darling. This isn't a simple game of hide and seek. This is a matter of life and death." She gestured broadly, as if to open the Pandora's box that lay beneath the veneer of the party. "We are all drawn to the darkness," she continued as she walked among the guests, her presence caressing the air like a shadow. "Every sip of the tea, a choice made, a fate sealed. Wouldn't you want to know who is truly pulling the strings? Who is truly cursed?" My heart raced at the implication. A collective gasp broke from the crowd, and I felt all eyes on me. The spotlight was blinding, illuminating the doubt in my mind. Celine's manipulation was evident, and yet it tempted me like a siren's call. "Are you willing to sacrifice something dear to you for the truth?" she asked, pausing dramatically. Her smile widened, revealing the thrill of a predator. "Because once the truth is revealed, there is no turning back." Before I could respond, a figure emerged from the crowd. Igor, his face a mask of shadows, stepped toward us, eyes narrowing as he studied Celine. The fleeting flicker of anger crossed his features before hanging heavy in the air. "Enough games, Celine," he growled, his deep voice cutting through the tension. "What is done is done. The truth will come to light, but not today." Celine's smirk faltered, but only for a heartbeat. "You think you can control the outcome, Igor? This is beyond you. It involves arrows pointed at the heart of every soul here." She turned back to me, catching the wavering light in her eyes. "Are you ready to face the past that should remain buried? Or would you rather remain blind?" I could feel the weight of choices heavy on my shoulders, the uncertainty of knowing what lay ahead throwing me into chaos. "What is in the tea?" I demanded, my hands trembling, not sure if it was from fear or adrenaline. Celine leaned in closer, her breath chilling against my ear. "Drink, and you will see. But the vision may very well consume you." A collective chill swept through the room, leaving every soul momentarily speechless. I glanced at Amelia, who shifted uncomfortably, her trust wavering like a flickering candle. Whatever was hiding in that cursed tea, I felt that it was just a sip away. Did I dare? And what truths would rise from the murky depths? A deafening silence fell, the kind that emboldened the shadows, amplifying the fear that coursed through the crowd. Danger loomed. I had to choose. Without looking back, I stepped forward, ready to confront whatever dark secrets lay ahead. But would I be the one to break the curse, or merely succumb to it? Just then, a shrill scream echoed through the hall, shattering the moment and plunging us into an even deeper dread. The scream pierced through the air, a blood-curdling cry that sent a wave of fear crashing through the guests. It was a sound dripping with terror, sending chills down my spine. Eyes darted nervously, confusion mixing with the palpable anticipation. Celine's expression morphed, her smile fading into a mask of amusement. As if she drew strength from our fear, she turned to the source of the scream, her gaze icy and predatory. Now, let us not get ahead of ourselves. She called out, flaunting her confidence. The night is still young, and there are many more secrets to uncover. Amelia grabbed my arm, her grip like a vice, pulling me closer. We have to get out of here, she urged, her eyes wide with panic. No, I whispered, my heart pounding in my ears. We can't just leave. What if this is what we need to find out the truth? But before we could decide our next move, the crowd began shifting. People whispered frantically, forming small clusters of hushed conversations. The atmosphere thickened, a cocktail of curiosity and panic. The scream had come from the far end of the hall, near a beautifully decorated alcove shadowed by large potted plants. In the dim light, the crowd parted, revealing a young woman crumpled on the floor, her face frozen in horror. A silver tray lay scattered beside her, china teacups rolling aimlessly across the polished wooden floor like disoriented soldiers. Get back! Call for help! Igor bellowed, his voice cutting through the chaos. I instinctively took a step forward, drawn to the scene like a moth to a flame. Despite Amelia's protests, my feet moved. As I stepped closer, the aroma of the tea hung thick in the air, almost suffocating the scent now tinged with a lingering bitterness. Do you see now? Celine's voice emerged low and taunting as she slid beside me, her shadow stretching over the fallen woman. The cost of revealing truth. Is it worth your time? Worth your lives? Around us, whispers intensified. Some guests moved to aid the woman, while others stood frozen, ensnared by fear and intrigue. Questions swirled in the air, mixing with the fragrance of the cursed tea. What had happened? Was it the drink? Rushing footsteps echoed through the hallway. A few of the partygoers went to help, but their frantic hands seemed useless against the pall of dread that enveloped us. Get away from her! Amelia gasped, suddenly fierce, pulling me back. This is bad. We can't get caught up in this. But my gaze remained locked on the woman. She looked so young, her wide eyes filled with confusion and panic. I could almost hear her thoughts, a plea for help, a desperate grasp at the remnants of her sanity. Her fingers twitched, and I caught a flicker of movement, but then everything froze. The oppressive quiet smothered the room as everyone instinctively held their breath. Had she seen something? Celine leaned in, her voice a conspiratorial whisper. Sometimes the truth is a toxin, dear. Do you wish to share in her fate? Her eyes glinted devilishly, igniting a fire of fear within me. The chaos faded slightly, leaving a dull thrum in my ears. My own heart raced, caught in the grand web spun by Celine. With the room around me pulsating with a suffering energy and energy that promised danger and revelations, I felt the urgency swell within me. What had caused her distress? Was it the tea, or something far darker? Then, quite suddenly, the woman's body convulsed. Her back arched, eyes rolling as if taken by some unseen force. The air turned electric, my senses screaming for clarity, yet aware that something sinister was at play. And just as I steeled myself to rush forward, another voice pierced the tension. Who dares to bring curses upon our house? A new figure emerged, a tall man whose presence sent shockwaves through the crowd. His voice was booming, laced with authority. Everyone turned to face him, anticipation teetering on the edge of chaos. Would he be a savior or a harbinger of doom? The crowd fell silent, the air thick with questions. I could feel the weight of countless eyes upon me once more. What had we stumbled into? And what awaited us now? As dread gnawed at the edges of my consciousness, I realized I was standing on the precipice of something even darker. An urgent decision loomed, and the shadows whispered promises I couldn't ignore. Would the truth set us free, or would it bind us tighter to the curse? The tall man took a step forward, his figure radiating authority like a beacon piercing through the dismal fog of fear enveloping us. A dense silence settled over the crowd, breaths held tight, as if collectively anticipating a storm. Then he spoke again, his voice deeper, echoing with a commanding grip that held us captive. Enough. Someone tell me what happened. His eyes swept across the sea of faces, searching for answers. Amelia tightened her grip on my arm, pulling me back slightly. We shouldn't be here, she urged, her voice barely above a whisper, a mix of fear and urgency pulsing through each word. Whatever is happening, It's not safe. But I couldn't peel my gaze away from the young woman still crumpled on the floor. Her body seemed to shimmer with some otherworldly energy, and I was certain I could sense an unseen force swirling around her. "Get a doctor," Igor shouted again, his voice cracking at the edges, frantic. The man held up a hand. "Wait. Look." He pointed towards the fallen woman, his tone shifting as he stepped closer, the crowd parting for him. Everyone's eyes followed his gesture, drawn to the sight like moths to a flickering flame. The woman's face began to distort, shifting from shock to something akin to fearlessness. It was unsettling. Her eyes, once wide with confusion, glinted with a strange clarity. The air felt charged, a pulse that screamed of something awakening. "What is she?" My voice cracked as I spoke, the words stumbling from my mouth in disbelief. "Cursed," Celine interjected, her lips curling upward in a sinister half-smile. She's caught in the dance of shadows and light. Perhaps this is what happens when someone seeks the truth too fervently. I felt the room tremble with murmurs, uncertain whispers exchanging glances filled with apprehension. The man, still towering over the crumpled woman, seemed unfazed by Celine's ominous words. He crouched down, peering into her eyes as if searching for something. "Speak, girl. What cursed vision do you bring?" His voice thundered, and the intensity of it rattled the core of my being. The woman blinked, slowly, her body still vibrating with some hidden energy. It was as if every fiber of her being vibrated with the weight of unspoken truths. I saw she stammered, her voice raspy, each word laced with an urgency that heightened the tension in the room. "Celine, but before she could finish her sentence, the lights flickered, plunging the hall into semi-darkness. The crowd gasped, a wave of panic rippling through like a shockwave. "Stay calm. Everyone stay calm," Igor shouted, but it was a feeble command against the rising tide of fear. I could feel my heart race, a wild rhythm echoing the chaos around me. Celine's laughter broke the stillness, a sound that chilled my bones. "Ah, but the night is just beginning. Truths and lies they weave together, don't they?" Her eyes glimmered with malevolence, sparking an even more profound dread within the crowd. I felt the weight of her gaze pressing upon me, daring me to challenge her, to unearth whatever darkness had been unshackled here tonight. Just then, another figure stepped forward from the shadows, a woman with dark hair cascading over her shoulders, eyes fierce and unyielding. "Celine," she said, her tone dripping with accusation, "you're playing with forces you don't understand." Gasps erupted again, confusion painting the features of those around me. I felt a hair-raising chill wrap around the room, tightening like a vice. Who was she? And how did she know Celine? "Ah, my dear sister," Celine cooed, amusement lacing her voice. "You should know better than to pry into what you do not comprehend. What was at stake here?" I forced myself to look back at the young woman on the floor, every instinct screaming at me to act. The sensation of dread grew, tugging at my sanity. As I pushed to the forefront of the crowd, another chill rippled through me. "Tell us everything," I shouted, driven by a need to know. The woman met my gaze, a spark igniting between us. "The tea, it holds power, and they won't let us leave until the truth is served." I felt a jolt of realization. We were running out of time, and the shadows were closing in. What deeper currents lay beneath the surface of this chilling evening? Was the tea merely a drink or something more sinister? The question hung heavy in the air, thick with the scent of dread, leaving us all teetering on the brink of revelation or ruin. The atmosphere thickened, almost suffocating, as we peered into the uncertainty that swirled around us like smoke. I could feel the nervous tension snaking through the crowd, the racing hearts, the whispered fears. It cast a spell of dread that wrapped around my chest, tightening with every passing second. "Get it together." Igor's voice sliced through the chaos, his pale face breaking into a grim mask of determination. "We need to figure this out before it's too late. We have to find out what the girl knows." But who would dare approach her? A dark shadow flickered at the edge of my vision, and my heart skipped. It was Celine, who loomed with a predatory grin, her expression gleeful as if savoring the twisted game at hand. The crumpled young woman stirred again. "The tea," she whispered, barely a breath across her lips, sending a jolt through me. "They've poisoned it. It's a conduit, a bridge to something darker." "What do you mean?" I could barely contain the urgency in my voice. It felt as if the walls were closing in, each heartbeat drumming louder as dread pooled in the pit of my stomach. Suddenly, the lights flickered more violently, and the whispers grew frantic, slicing through the tension like a blade. Chaos is here, chaos is coming. Another voice yelled. We must leave. But could we? Could we really escape the malevolence that had seeped into our very bones? My mind raced through the possibilities, each one more horrifying than the last. From her place in the dark, Celine's laughter erupted like shattering glass. You think you can run? Do you not see the game unfolding? She looked positively elated, a puppet master in the midst of her show. Celine, her sister shouted again, stepping closer with a fierce resolve. You're not acting rationally. Don't you see that your antics could put all our lives at stake? Your pleas are futile, sister, Celine crooned, dismissing her with a wave. None of you understand the power that lies in the brew. You're all mere pawns. Suddenly, an inhuman scream pierced the air, a sound of pure, anguished terror. It erupted from the fallen woman, her face distorted in a mask of agony and struggle. She twitched violently, as if experiencing a violent surge of energy that lifted her just an inch off the ground. Eyes wide, she seemed to be witnessing something beyond our comprehension. She's lying. Don't trust her. The truth is inside. It's inside all of us. The crowd stepped back, a single body, recoiling in primal fear. I could feel the tension coiling tighter, the dread clinging to us like an unwanted cloak. We were all components of a larger mystery that felt cosmic in scale, but how could we find our way through the shadows? Listen, I yelled over the rising tide. The truth isn't out of reach. We need to trust one another. The words felt hollow as I spoke them, uncertainty gnawing at my insides. But another flicker of light sent the audience reeling back. It was as if the very air shifted and the space morphed around us. There's no truth here. Only chaos, Celine hissed, her eyes glimmering with malevolence. Look, Igor shouted, pointing at the woman. She was rising slightly, hovering above the floor as a dark mist radiated around her. Fear architecting our every decision. We stood at a precipice of awakening, an awakening that could either step us into the light or plunge us deeper into darkness. Help her, I cried, unable to hold back. But just as the thought took root, the ground quaked beneath us, and the lights shattered completely. The world imploded into darkness, punctuated only by the glow of the mist surrounding the woman. Something was awakening, something hungry. Was it too late for us to change our fate? And in that moment, I realized one chilling truth: whatever lay ahead, we were destined to face it together, but only if we could survive the night. What secrets lay hidden in the shadows waiting for the moment to strike? What unseen forces were already prowling close? The tremors beneath our feet coaxed a collective gasp from the crowd. I felt sweat trickle down my spine, the cold bite of fear tightening its grip around my throat. The flickering darkness pressed in on us, wrapping its sinister tendrils around my mind. Where could we turn? Igor grabbed my arm, his grip solid and fierce, grounding me in the chaos. We need to get her down, he shouted, his voice strained, yet it sliced through the fog of panic. I nodded, though doubt flooded my thoughts. How could we reach her when the very air pulsed with menace? As if sensing our desperation, the hovering woman let out a gut-wrenching shriek that resonated deep within my chest. They're coming, she wailed, her eyes wide and unfocused, swimming with shadows. The darkness will take all of us. I felt the crowd close in, a tide of bodies, hearts collectively racing in disbelief. Celine, however, stood tall amidst the dread, a figure of twisted confidence. Her laughter echoed, cruel and sharp. No one will escape this fate. It's a dance of desperation and delight. Surrender to the chaos. Enough, Igor yelled, pulling loose from my grasp. He took a determined step forward, glaring at Celine with a fierceness that ignited a flicker of something. Was it hope? We will not succumb to this madness. Not while we have breath to fight. Sensing the shifting dynamics, Celine's grin faded slightly, replaced by a darker, more calculating gaze. So you wish to challenge me? She mused, eyes glinting like shards of glass in the faint mist. Very well, but know this. The secrets you seek may be more terrible than you can bear. Her words hung heavy in the air, thickening the atmosphere. The young woman continued to writhe, the energy pulsing around her intensifying with every jagged breath. I watched, transfixed and horrified, as wisps of darkness began to swirl toward the crowd. Those near the edges cried out and staggered backward. Then the lights flickered back on briefly, just enough to illuminate the dread pooling in the corners of the room. In that fraction of time, I caught sight of jagged teeth in the shadows, a snarl that sent my heart racing in panic. This wasn't just some spectral threat, it was alive. A cry erupted from behind me, and I turned, catching sight of a man stumbling. It's here. It's coming. His face drained of color, eyes bulging in pure terror as he tried to flee. But more shadows spilled into the room, swallowing light, tearing at sanity's edges. Stay together, I yelled, desperately scanning the faces for courage. We formed a shaky circle, a knot of terrified souls desperately intertwining our fates. Focus on her. If she knows the truth, we need to reach her, Igor shouted, but as he stepped toward the woman, a shadowy form surged forward. Do you see her? Celine's voice dripped with malice. She holds the key, but can you handle the weight of what she reveals? Silence enveloped us for a moment, heavy and foreboding. I zeroed in on the woman, who was still trapped in her fit, a mournful sculptor caught between life and death. If she was pushing against something, could we pry it free? At that moment, the trembling stopped. A sound rang clear, a single gasp, then her eyes locked onto mine, piercing through darkness and revealing a flicker of pain. You must choose. She gasped weakly. Choose before the shadows do. Could our choice save us, or would it drag us deeper into perdition? A parade of questions thundered in my head, clashing with fervor. And then I noticed a faint glimmer rising from her palm, a spectral light swirling in the shadow, pulsing rhythmically like a heartbeat. Would we take the plunge, grasping whatever truth lay beneath? Or were we too late, already caught in the snare of a wicked game? The ground trembled again, and I braced myself, knowing one thing for certain. The moment of truth was rushing toward us at breakneck speed, and I could feel the chilling breath of the unknown lurking just out of sight. What path awaited us in the dark? Were we prepared to face the truth lurking behind the shadows? The young woman's gasp echoed in the air like a dying wind, and the pulsating light from her palm broke through the oppressive shadows. It flickered, casting eerie reflections on the faces around me, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. My heart raced, each beat drumming louder against my ribcage as I tried to comprehend her words. Choose. Her voice was now tinged with desperation, urgency threading through her tone. I could feel the weight of her gaze, pleading, begging for action that felt monumental and terrifying all at once. What do we do? I shouted, but the question fell flat against the rising tide of darkness. Igor, ever the protective force beside me, leaned closer to the hovering woman. He stretched a trembling hand toward her, the distance between hope and despair narrowing with each heartbeat. We'll help you, he promised. But his words spun into a tempest of uncertainty, the shadows growing bolder, creeping closer, like an included audience at a macabre show. Celine watched with a twisted fascination. Her expression was a concoction of glee and malice, as if we were pawns in her wicked game. What a beautiful dilemma, she sang, each word dripping with delight. Will you save her, or will you save yourselves? Panic infected the crowd. Murmurs spread like wildfire. Don't choose her. We need to save ourselves. Someone shouted, the urgent voice triggering a wave of chaos. I could feel the room teetering on the edge of a complete unraveling, fear binding us tighter than any rope. The woman shivered, and the light in her palm shivered with her. You must see the truth. It's the only way. The shadows closed in further now, thickening the air, wrapping around us, stifling our breaths. Whether we fought or fled, our choices felt like sparks against an inferno. Make a choice. Celine taunted, delight cascading from her lips like poison. What will you give up, your heart, your soul, or her life? A rush of emotion roared through me. I couldn't let her die. I would not allow Celine's darkness to snuff out that struggling spark. We choose her, I hollered, unsure if I was speaking for everyone or just scrambling to find my own conviction. We have to trust in her. The response was immediate and electric. A fissure of light shot from the woman's palm, an ethereal bridge between her and the shadows. I felt a strange pulse echo from within me, almost like a heartbeat, begging me to step closer. Igor's hand grasped mine tightly. Whatever happens, we stick together, he steadied his voice, a lifeline amid the chaos. With countless bodies swaying and trembling, we took a tentative step forward, united in our decision against the suffocating veil of darkness. Through the chaos and clamoring, the room distorted, the shadows contorted with sinister delight. Foolish mortals, Celine screeched, the air thickening with dread. You'll regret this choice. The darkness is ravenous for more than blood. It hungers for the very essence of your being. And just as we drew near, the combined force of our identities collided with the spectral light. A shockwave ricocheted through the crowd, sending us reeling backwards. Hold on, Igor yelled, but it was already too late. The shadows lunged, a torrent of swirling chaos that preyed upon our fear. I gasped, instinctively reaching for anything solid. Then, a fracture erupted in the air, bright as daylight, a glimpse of clarity, a single whisper amidst the storm. You are the key. What did that mean? I felt lost, adrift on a sea of uncertainty. We chose her, but what would our choice unlock? The shadows loomed closer, threatening to swallow us whole. Face it, screamed a voice from the dark, rising above the chaos. You will see, all of you. The ground lurched beneath our feet, gravity pulling, a potent force dragging us deeper into the unknown. Just as feet stumbled and breaths became quickened gasps, courage sparked within me. We were not yet finished, but the question clung like iron chains: what awaited us on the other side of the shadows? Would we emerge as mere survivors, or as something altogether transformed? With each potential outcome rushing toward us, I could feel the weight of all we had chosen crushing down. What lay buried beyond the veil? Would we be able to withstand the truth when it finally broke through? The shadows swirled chaotically, remnants of darkness binding us together, but at that moment, something shifted. The pulsating light from the woman's palm intensified, illuminating each terrified face among us. A collective breath drew back in, like a wave retreating before the tide. Focus, Igor shouted, urgency threading through his voice as he took a bold step forward toward the light. Whatever Celine conjures, we're stronger when united. The flickering light began to stretch, forming a bridge toward the shadows as if beckoning us to join it. And then, a whisper nagged at me, deep inside. You are the key. I could feel the weight of that truth glimmering on the cusp of my understanding. Celine, now a tempest of menace, seemed to sense the shift in the room. Foolish mortals, she taunted, her voice laced with disdain. Do you think you could potentially step beyond the darkness? You're naive. But I could feel the tide of memory crashing back. It was not just a choice. It was a reckoning. This isn't just about survival, I called out, forcing the emotion into my voice. It's about the truth we've been running from. The words echoed as if stirring something deeper within us. What truth? Amelia's voice quivered beside me. What are we facing? Not just the shadows, I replied, feeling the fire kindle within me. We're facing ourselves, our fears, our darkness, but also our light. We've accepted the curse, but we can choose to break it. We can take the shadow's power and turn it against itself. The woman on the ground, who had been caught in the throes of agony, finally found her voice, hoarse yet piercing. There's power in unity. Do not let the dark pull you apart. Her words carried a vibration that sent waves of strength through the entire room. I locked eyes with Igor and knew we had to act, had to push forward into the light she projected. Fear wavered, and in that flicker of uncertainty, hope illuminated the unknown. That I reached an arm forward, and Igor took my hand, his grip steadying me against the tide. Together. We need to face it together. The crowd seemed to strengthen our resolve. One by one, hands began to reach out, joining in an intertwining circle of support. As we clasped palms, I could feel energy rising like electricity, connecting us, binding us with purpose. Stand strong, Igor bellowed, and the clarity of his voice rang as a clarion call. Celine sees us as mere games and pawns, but we are the players. The truth lies in our unity. The shadows crawled closer but wavered, squirming against the collective determination we projected. Celine's laughter morphed into an irritated hiss, her own fear turning lethal. You think you can resist? The darkness will consume you all. I shall finish what's begun. But it was too late. With every pulse of light rising around us, I felt the darkness retreating, the weight being lifted. We were heading toward the unknown, forced to confront our inner demons while allowing the collective strength to guide us. Then the shadows coalesced, forming silhouettes of fear, taunting us with our own worst memories, the lurking insecurities and hauntings each of us had tried to erase. Face them, I cried, staying resolute. Together, we'll unchain the darkness. Face your fears. It's how we break the curse. Each figure of dread disintegrated as the crowd chanted, breathing bravery into the air. The room filled with a hellish symphony of screams blending with our voices, creating a work of chaotic beauty as we embraced our pasts. With every breath, we advanced. The woman's palm shed a brilliance that washed away the evil that Celine had clung to. I was struck with the realization the truth did not need to burn. It could also heal. As we reached the center of the light, a final burst surged forth, engulfing us in a radiant brightness. I heard Celine's desperate cries blend into wisps of smoke as the shadows dissipated like morning fog, rendering her powerless. And then, quiet. A soft warmth enveloped us, the darkness banished by our resolution. I looked around. The crushed woman rose, stepping into the calm. All of us stood united, shaken yet breathing a sigh of relief. "Thank you," she whispered, her eyes brimming with gratitude. "You saved us all." We were shaking, but together, sharing glances of unspoken understanding. We had faced the darkness and emerged, not unscathed but emboldened, wielding the truth we had unearthed. In the aftermath of chaos, I found fulfillment in knowing that the real power resided in our collective strength to confront fears. There was danger still lurking in the world, but within us resided a fierce light, the light forged in facing our shadows together. As we stepped away from the shadows, I could feel the weight lift, the strings of manipulation fade. Every soul in that esoteric mansion was changed. The night, thick with danger, transformed into a tapestry of stories yet to be told. And in this story of reckoning, we unshackled the light, elevating the spirits sickened by deceit as we prepared to reclaim our future. And there's the final chapter. If you love this thrilling conclusion, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait to hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm so more people can join our community. Flood the comments below with your reactions and theories. I want to hear what you think about this ending. Which secret surprised you the most? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us spread the word.